Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going on, brother?
Never gets old.
You know what's funny, man, is I was at the gym this morning. So I get to the gym around 5:20 in the morning, and I put my headphones on, and I decided to check in on the episodes, one of our past episodes that we're referencing one of the guys in the Brotherhood. And I wanted to send it to him. And so I just started listening to it, and I heard, all of a sudden I hear my announcement of you, and then the applause go through, and I just pictured you grinning ear to ear, as I'm guessing you often do.
Yeah, how great are those applause. I didn't even know they were on there until like a few weeks ago. Like, wow.
Billy's the man. There's no doubt about that.
Billy is the man. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say to Amelia, I'm going to recommend an episode for her. And she won't listen to it all, but she'll listen to the intro. I'm like, boom. There you go. There you go. Look who you get to live with. Look who you get to be with.
Just be careful which episode you recommend, right?
And that'll go down well, right? And I'm saying, oh, yeah, look at this. Look at this. She's like, yeah, so what?
Look at me. It's an episode where we're talking about your wife is wrong. You know, your partner is wrong.
She's so disinterested by it. It's so funny. I love it.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, you're in it day to day. So she's in it with you as your partner, right? I know this is not what we're talking about, but she's in it with you as your partner. So she sees everything, and she gets to be deluded by it in a lot of ways, because she also doesn't get to actually see the men that we work with all the time and the wins that they're having. She just gets to see you going to work, helping people. She sees the outcome and the stories you share with her. But it's hard for our partners to be as emotionally invested in the movement that we're creating. They're supportive, both your Amelia and Aaron for me, and Penny for Arthur. But it's at the same time, they just don't get it, right? They're not in it as much. It's our thing.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I was speaking a little bit off topic, but I was speaking to a guy yesterday who joined the program, and he's wanting to improve his relationship with his wife. And he said one of the guys that works for him is quite a big guy. His wife came into the office recently, and he said, Tim, she was smoking hot. And I got thinking, how the hell has he got with her? So he went up and asked her and said, look, what's your secret? What do you do in order to lock down such a wonderful woman and stay with her? And he said, well, look, all you need to do is listen to the women for 15 minutes a day, let them unload, and they're happy. That's all they need. 15 minutes. And it's kind of like the reverse. When I go into Amelia after the day and I'm really excited about everything we've been doing, I reckon she's got like a 10-minute bandwidth. And then she's like, Tim, you know what? I really love you and I love what you're doing, but I'm just not really interested right now. Like, great. I love it. I love your honesty. Cool. Let's move on.
I got a great story about that, but we'll save that for another episode. I think that's a fantastic topic for us to cover later on, the emptying bucket.
It is, yeah.
So what are we talking about today, buddy?
So I came across a statistic last week, and I was blown away by it. Absolutely blown away. I think we may have mentioned this on one of the episodes, but it really got me thinking as I was speaking to some of the men this week who applied for the program and came into it, and they started to explain the situation. It completely took me back to this statistic, because as guys, we can sometimes have a habit, especially as business owners, of thinking, oh, she won't leave me. I'm the main breadwinner. I put food on the table. I'm going out to work every day. I'm doing my best. We're having sex, once a week or however many times it is. Everything's great. I'm doing what I said I would do. I'm providing. I'm making money. I'm providing. That's enough. However, did you know, Doug, that the first Monday after the holiday season, Christmas, by lawyers is known officially as Divorce Day?
Divorce Day. Okay.
Now, not only that, but consider this. 70% of divorces are initiated by women. right? We've spoken about that before. But women claim that their husbands left the relationship and checked out long before they did. Although they're there physically, they're not there emotionally. And I get it, because for business owners, businessmen in particular, it can be tough, right? Because you do think you're doing all the right things. You do think you're going out to work. You think you're providing. You're working the long hours. You're putting the effort in. You've put a roof over the family's head. You get to take them on holidays or vacations, and you're doing all that you can. And sometimes you come home on an evening and you just don't have anything left to give. Your kids come running up to you. You want to try and play with them. You love them dearly. But it doesn't come out in that way, does it? Sometimes it may come out with a short word, or pushing them away, or just kind of, getting your phone out. Same with your wife. Sometimes it can come across with a short word to her, sitting at the table, instead of, she's trying to talk to you and converse about the day, and you're just looking blankly through her. And it's a tough position to be in. But clearly, it's also a very risky thing to think she won't leave me, based on divorce day and based on the statistics.
Oh, definitely. Well, first of all, for everybody listening to this, divorce day, as they call it, is the 6th of January for 2020. So mark that on your calendar, guys. I had to look that up as you were talking. I thought that was pretty intense. It makes sense to me, Tim, actually, when you say that, because you think about it as driven men. We're working hard. We're out there providing. We think things are good enough. We know they're not good inside, but they're good enough, right? We'll get through this rough patch. I'll just keep working. I'll grind it out. And the holidays come, right? And then as business owners and entrepreneurs, you're supposed to take time off work and spend time with the family. And if you haven't gone through an alpha reset and don't have that reset, ability to reset yourself and reclaim your power, then what do? Is you get anxious, right? You're at home. You start trying to boss people around. You start trying to fix things. And we talked about, one of the avoidances for communication in a previous episode is, what do, right? One of the things people do when they feel unsafe, right? Because you can feel unsafe in your own home, especially if your wife's coming at you, or spouse, or anybody else, is avoidance, right? They'll walk away from conversations. They will just succumb to the yes, dear type mentality. Sure, dear. Yes, dear, I'll do that. Or they will just sink within inside themselves and be quiet, right? And avoid the conversation. So what that does is puts more distance between you and your spouse, right? You're either diving into work or you're sinking within yourself. Tim, I think you mentioned it in a previous episode where you said, in the past, when you and Amelia would have conflict, you would just close down. You would shut down, right? That's another way of avoiding. And when you're shutting down, you're closing off your heart, and you're not having any space for your spouse to empty her basket, so to speak, right? As you said. And that creates more and more distance. Now you guys are spending more time together than you normally do because you're not working, right? So you're closer. And because of that, if you don't have the proper communication skills, you haven't reset and reclaimed your life, the real man that we know you are, then your wife has more time with you to see a mirror image of what is not working, right? And now you have more time, and you're getting antsy, probably working, checking your phone, checking emails, looking down, every chance you get to see what's going on at the office or news or Reddit or whatever it is you look at. And so that further is going to put distance between you, right? And you probably don't see it. And that stat you threw out, Tim, 70% of divorces are initiated by women who say their husband already left. Well, it makes complete sense to me, because during the holidays, if you've left emotionally and now she's seeing it clear, it's validating what she already thought. And she's basically saying, screw this, I'm out. And therefore, I guess you got divorce day, which is a pretty sad thing.
Well, it is, definitely, as well, because I feel for the guys, because we don't work with any guys that, they're not assholes, right? They're nice guys. They truly love the wives, and they truly want the best for the family. And the trouble is, for a lot of them, they really struggle to balance, work and home life. And as a result, they come home day after day, week after week, year after year, and they're just beaten down and exhausted. And they don't have anything else to give. And what then starts to happen is they almost become numb. I was speaking with a guy yesterday who joined the program, very successful business. And one of the things I said to him was most of the guys that come into our program, they've got into this cycle whereby they've kind of fallen into business because they want to provide for their family. They put their head down, they get to work, 5, 10, 15 years pass by, and they start to achieve all of the things that they thought needed 5, 10, 15 years ago to make them happy. Because you tell yourself, okay, well, when I get to 1 million or 10 million or whatever, that's when I'll work less. That's when life will become easy. That's when that whatever, insert the blank, right? But the thing is, that point never comes. They hit the milestone, but they just keep pushing the goalpost and they keep on chasing the elusive carrot on the stick. And over time, when nothing's landing, no success ever feels like it's good enough. Nothing in life is ever really landing for them, so they feel empty and unfulfilled for the most part. Imagine then taking that home to your wife. So although you're going home and you're walking through the door physically, really, it's kind of like, no, the lights are on, but nobody's home, right? And I don't think it's, the business owner's fault either. They're just doing they're doing the best with what they have available to them. Not available, but the best of what they know how to do, right, in that moment. But the reality is it's not good enough. It's not good enough if you want to have a relationship with your wife that's deeply connected, lots of intimacy, fun, laughter. You actually want to spend time with one another and you enjoy it. And you also want to have a business that serves your life and frees you up and you experience deep levels of joy and fulfillment in your life. Then you can't operate in that way. Because if you do, like you were saying, over the holiday season, for example, all that's going to happen is all those stories that your wife's probably told herself of, oh, well, the holidays will come around and things will be different. He'll be in a good mood. He'll be off from work. And she's pinning all her hopes on this one last thing. And then when it's compounded that, God, he can't even be nice in front of my parents. He can't even be nice in front of my friends. Whatever compounds it, then it's understandable. And the other thing I'll add before, I can see you bursting to chip in here, but I'll just keep you waiting for a little bit longer. Keep that caffeine penned in for a little bit longer. An even more dangerous position to be in as well as a guy. I'd invite you guys listening to this or watching the video to just consider this for a minute. When you walk through the door in an evening, what are you greeted with? How is your wife? Is she coming up to you and talking and sharing all about her day and sharing all about, just random things that may seem like nothing to you, that may seem inconsequential to you? But if she's sharing them with you, she's emptying her bucket, as we were talking about before, then that's a great sign. However, if you walk through the door and she doesn't even bother to go there anymore, that's a very dangerous position to be in because she has become very closed down. And sometimes guys will think, oh, everything's okay because I walked through the door and she doesn't say anything, so everything must be good. But in actual fact, if you walk through the door and she doesn't say anything, then that's a sure sign that she's checked out. And you've got two people in a relationship that are both checked out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a horrible position to be in any way you look at it. And you said something I want to reiterate is, the guys are amazing men. Like, that's not what they want either, right? They're kind of holding on. And a lot of the guys have, for lack of a better term, have just given up, right? They've turned their focus onto the business, right? Is their place to be. Some guys will do business and maybe health, but very rarely will they do, health, wealth, relationships, and also taking care of their self as you go through it. And, as you were talking about this, I was thinking of this divorce day. Now that I know it exists, it reminded me of, a business owner that I've talked to you about that I know. And, he had no idea. So essentially what happened for him, and he's a great guy, is he called me one day crying. He doesn't cry, Tim. This guy's a big dude. He's probably like 6'4", does not cry. Called me crying. He found out his wife cheated on him and had been cheating on him for a little while. And while she was cheating on him, he was also still having sex with her, right? So not very much, not very good sex, but they were still having sex, and they're raising the kids, and they had kids, and kids of age. And they've been together, gosh, I want to say 20 years. Been together a long time. Solid relationship, integral with the family. If you were on Instagram or Facebook, Tim, this is the family, like the perfect family that you want to look at anywhere in the world, right? They're going to be on brochures. Good wife, good looking kids, everything. He had let himself slip. And he was telling me this, and I couldn't help when I was listening to you also remember all the subtle hints his wife had given him over the years that things were not working. And really what was happening, he did not see this because it'll get better, right? It'll get better someday. He'll drop some weight. He'll spend more time at home. He'll do that, but it'll get better. Till then, he'll remodel the house because he makes a lot of money, etc. He didn't see it coming. And finally, she just broke. And it happened to be around the holidays that he found out. And he was devastated. So devastated. He went to work. It was hard for him to work. But he would call me every single day with tears. Right? I was the person he chose to confide in, a couple other people as well. And he was devastated. It caught him totally out of left field. No idea that it was going on. And she was done, right? She had felt that he had left the relationship by not listening to her. She was giving hints, all kinds of things. Take care of your health, right? All the time for years. I want you to take care of, spend more time at home, be more present. He was always on his phone. He was one of those guys that would wheel and deal. And we're talking big deals that he'd be doing, but he was always working. Even when we'd hang out, he'd be on his phone, and I would jab at him a little bit for it. And so it made sense that all of a sudden she's just stacking this, and finally she's breaking. She's like, screw it. Now, she didn't go through divorce day like you were talking about. She just left the marriage, right? She just found another man and left and stayed for the kids, right? And he was still sleeping with her, having sex with her, right? Probably once a week, wasn't very good. She was resisting it, right? Coming up with excuses, kind of the headache, or I'm tired, or going out with the girls, or what have you. But meanwhile, this whole time, he had no idea for a while that she was seeing somebody else. And as she was seeing somebody else, she was really falling in love with this other guy. Because he, in her eyes, had those things that he wasn't paying attention to. And this guy hadn't reclaimed himself, right? He thought, okay, the best way to keep her around was do the things that she wants me to do. And so he fell into that mode. We talk about polarity of energies and sexual energy and what have you, masculine, feminine. He became more and more feminine. So as he became more feminine, and we're talking about energetically, right? He's still a guy's guy, but around her, she had to rise up and become more masculine. And so finally she found a guy who, in her eyes, was really masculine, and she fell into his arms. Devastating for the kids and everything else, and for this guy to be going through. It wasn't divorce day for him, but like divorce day, he never saw it coming. It hit him like a train wreck, blindsided him completely. And had he, done a little bit more for himself, taking care of himself, he would have been in a much better position.
Yeah. And it really gets me thinking about, when you first get into a relationship with a woman, the way in which you show up, right? She doesn't have to ask, she doesn't have to tell you what to do to make her happy. If she did, then you wouldn't be together, right? She doesn't have to tell you what to do. She doesn't have to tell you where to be. She doesn't have to essentially play your mother in some way, shape, or form, whatever degree that is, right? However, it's a really interesting pattern that I've noticed anyway with the men that I speak with that come in. And what's happened is it's almost like a sense of entitlement. Hey, I'm going out to work. I'm making the money. You don't understand how hard I work. I deal with all these stresses. Your problems are mine. And what have you got to complain about? God, all you've got to do is get the kids to school. All you've got to do is make sure the house is tidy. God, I'm dealing with all these decisions that's worth millions of dollars or pounds, and all these staff and jobs are on the line, and you don't get it. You don't get it. And in that place, this sense of entitlement can overspill into almost a regression for guys, where they then turn into boys that their partner has to then mother.
100%.
And they'll pick up after them and clean after them. And, oh, I've got a headache. Will you get me this? Will you cook? Will you do? And, no wonder why they end up leaving. And I don't mean to sound harsh there. It's just the truth, because the guy has stopped being the man who this woman was attracted to in the first place, when she didn't have to tell him what she wanted or just what she wanted. Keep it simple. Because he would meet those needs just by default. But then over time, he stops and she has to tell him. And like you said, she'll drop subtle hints, won't she? She won't explicitly say, because they want you to be able to know and to have the desire to just make them happy.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And what happens to men in our society oftentimes is, we talk about this, is what does it mean to be a modern man? Right? And we talk about this within the powerful man, within the brotherhood. And most guys don't know. There's no rite of passage. A lot of our fathers didn't know, so they didn't pass it down to us of what does it mean to be a man. We have, TV and stuff to look at, but these are caricatures. It's not really what a modern man would be in our eyes, right? And probably in your spouse's eyes. So you're right. They succumb to becoming boys, right? I want to take a nap. You take care of the kids. You cook for me. You clean. We have a whole episode on this, was called "Don't Make Your Lover Your Mother." Right? I think guys want to go back. It's early on in the episodes. Definitely listen to that if that sounds familiar to you guys. But the point is it's not only be the man; they're just not a man, and they're not a man at work. I mean, they can take a leadership role, but they're not. They'll get rolled over in a tough negotiation. Chances are. And they know this, right? They know there's something more within inside of them, Tim, and they know there's more for them at the same time, but it's not their fault. This is, guys, you're listening to this and you're like, okay, crap, that's me, right? It's not your fault, right? Society has dealt you a deck, right? Marketers have decided, okay, great, we'll do it this way. We're going to, pussify, so to speak, the adult male, because there's no trend, right? Play video games, stay at home, right? And then what we do is, when the woman will say, like, I need you to be a man, she doesn't say it. She's saying it internally, right? You don't know what to step into. Maybe you can do it temporarily, but you don't know how to step into it. Providing is more than just giving money. Providing is giving emotional support. It's allowing yourself to open up. And to me, being a man is doing the scariest thing, which is working on yourself and being vulnerable, right? Those are two very scary things. And it's a man that steps into fear and overcomes the fear, right? And really steps into doing it. And that's where I just think, for a lot of the guys listening, look, I'm listening, guys. Divorce days, no joke, obviously, as Tim is pointing out in the stats. And if things are good enough in your relationship, I can almost guarantee they're not good, right? On the other side of the fence. They need to be great, right? They need to be great consistently to do that. And don't blame yourself, but you didn't know, right? But at the same time, now you do. And now it's time to take action for that and step up and step into your power and reclaim it, right? Reclaim and reset. It's a really important thing I keep saying over and over again, Tim, because, it's like my buddy, he's a friend of mine, and I mentioned to him several times, just suggestions, we need to get you to an alpha reset, bro. We need to get you there. You got to go. I'll do it next time. I'll do it the next. The UK is too far to fly, Doug. I'll do the next one. It's in the States. And I heard that time and time again, and here we go. Now I'm getting the phone calls with tears, and I just don't want that for the guys listening.
Mm-hmm. And women of today, the past 10, 20 years, the let's call it the uprising of women, right? Women do not need a man to provide for them financially today. Right? It's not needed 100%. At all.
Not even close.
You're about to burst. Do you have something you want to say?
The caffeine's kicking in, man. I can't tell. Even decaf coffee, right? So I did this brain training, which I did, right, to expand your brain. And I was there with trying to think of how I can give her some anonymity. Let's just say it's one of the top people at Microsoft. Okay, we're talking the number one company in the world, right? Her salary 1 year is more than most people make in 10 years, right? She's got that level of cachet and everything else. I was having a conversation with her, and she was single, right? She had just ended a relationship about a year ago. And she was kind of talking to me about how she can't find, a good man, et cetera, and going through that. And I looked at her and I said, you just can't find a man, huh? Like a man. And I go, that's what you really want. And she looked at me and it was like that moment of clarity, Tim. She's like, that's exactly it. She's like, it's just a bunch of boys out there. And she was in her 50s, right? Or just approaching 50, excuse me. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, you like a little bit of an edge. You like a guy that can take control and run things, just not business, not a dominatrix or a domineering position, but a man, a real man. And she looked at me. It was just like that connection time. Like I didn't know her that well at the time. It's almost like I read through her, is what she felt. And she's like, that's absolutely what I'm looking for. And I can't find it anywhere, Doug. I travel all over the world. There's just not there's not a lot of men out there. This woman's a prize. Good looking, great job and career track, the whole thing, speaks 5 different languages, et cetera, et cetera. And her complaint is, I can't find a man. Not that she can't find people to date. Not that there's not a plethora of people that want to date her. She just can't find a man going through. Yeah. And the reason I could look right through her, make her feel that way, is because all women want that. Not just her, everyone. And even women who are married to a guy or in a relationship with a guy, if he's not a man or has lost that edge, and I'm not talking about aggression, Tim, or being an alpha or anything like that.
Presence, right? It's just presence.
It's a lot of things. Presence is one of them to me. It's a lot of things. It's growth, right? Taking care of yourself, taking care of your finances and wealth, right? Building that up, taking care of the people around you and beside yourself, taking care of your business is a big one too. They want all of that, right? Taking care of your health is a big one too.
I would argue though, before all of that, they want presence. They want, in order for the guy to be there and have presence and hold space for that woman, right? Yeah. He's got to know who he is, right?
You're 100% right. Yeah. I'm just saying it's not just presence. It's all of those aspects, because you become one-dimensional if it's just presence. In other words, you can be a guy who's present, but can't control his health, has no control of business or anything else, and is just present. That's a friend for a woman,
Yeah.
That's the guy that she dumps all the problems on and then goes out with the other guy who is the man,
Yeah, it's that recipe, isn't it? Like it's exactly, we talk about in the Alpha Reset and the Activation Method. I'm going to draw it on this board. So the guys that come to us, they have they organize their priorities, and I'm turning away from the mic, and Doug's like, Tim, you're going away from the mic, the podcast. But for the guys that are watching the video, and you guys listening to the podcast, just visualize this for a second. If you were to imagine a triangle, like a pyramid, and give it 5 layers, the guys that come to us that join the program, typically that bottom layer, they've got business. That's the foundation. And these are the 5 territories. So they organize business first. All their energy goes there because that's what they've been taught to do. The way to provide is to go out there and make money, and they literally bury themselves and become exhausted and burnt out just to achieve that. Now, above that, you've got wealth. I try not to talk when I've turned away from the mic. You've then got wealth, business, wealth. So after they've organized their business, they'll then go to, you make me laugh. They'll then go to, I can read your mind, then go to the area of wealth and focus their attention there. Now, usually for the guys that come in, I would say these two take up 80%, if not more, 90% of their capacity to actually enjoy their life. Now, above that level, if they have anything left, it's relationships. Above that, if they have anything left, which is very rare because usually they don't have a great deal left for the relationships, right, Doug? It's health. And then above health itself. Now, what we've found to be true for the guys that get the biggest results that work with us is they're able to flip that on its head, because that's all about living from the outside in.
Yep.
You're relying on things outside of you to give you a sense of significance. Oh, so when I get the car, the house, the holiday, the watch, whatever it is, relying on everything outside of you to give you a sense of identity and purpose in your life. And it's false. It's living from the outside in. Whereas when you flip that on its head, you actually have the foundation as self. And then beneath self, you have health. Left-handed writing. What you immediately start to do is focus on who you are as the foundation. That becomes the basis. It's like building a house, right? You can either build a house with shaky foundations and you try and add floors, and what happens is it crumbles. That's what's happening when you're living from the outside in. Whereas when you live from the inside out, when you have self as a foundation and then health, you have the presence, the purpose, the energy to then invest into your relationships, which is the third territory. You prioritize those. And this is where you walk home and you walk through the door in an evening, and instead of your wife avoiding you, taking a look at you and thinking, holy shit, what mood is he in tonight? She runs up to you. She's happy to see you. She's laughing. She wants to spend time with you. And she starts to tell you all about her day. That is a very good sign, guys. So please, if that is currently you, just be with that. Don't wish it away, because that's a very great sign. And then after relationships, it's wealth, and then it's business. But this is the key, guys. It's about us flipping that on its head. If you can imagine that triangle for you guys on the podcast, flip it on its head so you've got self at the base, because then you're going to have a strong foundation that not only can you build a house from it, that's the foundation where you're able to build a skyscraper. You're able to go up and up and up and up and up because you have the capacity within yourself and within your body, and everything is taken care of at home. So you can go into business the following day, peace of mind, clarity, with the energy to make the big decisions that move the needle, delegating effectively to your team, being an exemplary leader, so then the efficiency increases, everyone follows suit, and you're able to just make decisions, boom, 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 and finish the day with energy left over to be able to take that home to your family and switch off and actually enjoy time with them. Now, that might sound like a fairy tale. And if I was listening to this many years ago and I heard that, I'd probably be like, yeah, all right, whatever. You're just, talking shit. But
I can show you a text on my phone right now from this morning, Tim. Coming back from the gym, says, come and say hi, I'm in bed. So I could tell you right now, guys, it's not a fairy tale. And it's a great ride for my wife, by the way. We'll make that abundantly clear. This is not a fairy tale, right? It's just a formula. It's like a business formula. Most businesses fail within a few years, right? We all know that. I can't remember the stat, Tim, but so the average business fails within 1 year, and then the ones that survive, at something like 90%, are gone in 2 years. Marriages are close to the same, guys. The businesses that are successful, yeah, sure, some have luck, but most of them have a leader within that business that follows a formula, a strategic plan. Relationships are no friggin' different. Your life is no friggin' different. The difference is most of you have said, here, take the keys, somebody else drive my life. I'm going to tune out in front of the TV or start drinking heavily, or I'm going to sedate myself with something else. And as Tim has on this board, and for those listening, you have business as the base, right? The bottom of your triangle, when really it should be self, yourself. And we're talking about divorce day, coming up, and it's startling to me that lawyers are sitting there, drooling. Family, we call it family law in the States, Tim. Family law, they know it's coming, right? They know it's coming because of this formula that most men are following. Most men are following the wrong formula. And it's like a recipe, right? We talk about that often. So say you're going to bake a cake, a birthday cake for somebody, right? So you get the pan out, right? And then you go ahead and you put the flour in the pan, you put it in the oven, 400 degrees for 20 minutes, you take it out, you crack the eggs in there, right? And you put just some frosting on top of it. And you go, there's your cake. It doesn't work, right? That'd be crap. No one would settle for that. You have to follow the recipe in order to get the end result. You have to follow the recipe to get what you want at the end, right? As Tim is writing on that board right now, most people are going, hey, first I do this, then I get what I want to have, and then I can become the man that I want to be, right? I can become the man I've always wanted. The true recipe is first you be the man that you want to be, the man that's inside of you. And guys, trust me, we get it. It's hard to figure out what the hell that is. That's why we have the Alpha Reset. That's exactly what it helps you do. It's a summary of what the Alpha Reset's all about. You be, then you do, then you have, right? That's how it works. It's not the right formula there. So you want to make sure you have that. You have the recipe correct so you can actually build a beautiful cake, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah, I just want to make a point as well. This, as much as I'd love to say this is just all about you, Doug, and you've nailed this, which you have, because you followed a formula. It's not about you making these huge changes and becoming a brand new man. It's not about these. You don't have to make a complete overhaul of your life. It's not about that at all. For the guys that get the biggest results, and there's tons of case studies, right? If you head over to thealphareset.com, you'll see tons of case studies on there of guys that have done the same, proving that, unfortunately, although I'd love to say it's Doug who's special, it's actually
no.
Exactly. It's other guys, and they've not changed who they are. They've not grown an extra limb. They've not got an extra head. They're just ordinary guys that have relied on a system and obviously surrounded themselves with other men who are doing the same thing as well, which is super helpful. And stuck at it. It's not perfect. It's there's course correction, but course correction with the right system is much easier and leads to a much better place than guessing. Right? The amount of guys that I speak to, and this isn't anything against them. I remember when I was there as well. When I say, okay, well, what have you tried? Some have tried marriage counseling and therapy, but apart from that, they've just guessed. And it's a very frustrating place to be. Is kind of guessing at what to do, especially when the stakes are so high. Would you just guess in business, right? You're about to negotiate for the livelihood of your business, let's say, for example, which that's the reality of your marriage, right?
Yeah.
You're going to negotiate for the livelihood of your business. Would you guess? Or would you base it on sound advice? Would you base it on people that have done what you're doing? How would you make that decision, right? So outside in versus inside out. So to wrap this up, Mr. Holt, give the guys 3 things they can do.
3 things you could do right now. First of all, gentlemen, don't look forward to divorce day. The first thing you want to do, guys, is take action, right? I think that's number 1. If you found any resonance in this, take action immediately. Divorces are extremely painful and extremely costly, obviously financially, but take action for yourself, right? Come to the Alpha Reset. I'd love to see you there personally and give you a handshake or even a hug and see there. So that's 1. I'm going to say that. And if you don't want to go to the Alpha Reset, go somewhere else, but do something that is going to shake you up so you can figure out the man that you are, right? It's not the man you're trying to be. It kind of is, but it's actually the man you are. So you can have that to go through so you can be that man for your family and for your wife so you don't end up on divorce day. Second thing that I'm going to invite you to do is surround yourself with at least 5 other guys, right? 5 other men, not just guys, 5 other actual men who walk the walk, talk the talk, but they walk the walk, right? They're real guys, men that do it in all areas. Don't find just one-dimensional guys who are just really good at business or really good at health or really good in their relationships. But find men who are killing it in all angles and surround yourself as much as possible. Part of that is listening to this podcast or watching this video. If you're in the business or Facebook group, that's a great thing to do as well, doing that. And the third thing I'd recommend you guys do is have a plan, right? Have a strategy. What is your recipe right now? And we have a guy, Dave, that's in the Brotherhood, and he's an amazing chef. Right. And something I noticed about Dave is he's posting pictures of the food he's making. Right. But Dave goes and takes cooking classes. Right. He took a class on barbecuing recently and made an amazing barbecue. Had I just seen Dave's barbecue skills at a barbecue, I would just assume Dave somehow just knew how to barbecue. He worked on it. Right. We don't think about that. He went to classes to become someone good at barbecuing so he could follow the formula, the recipe. It's the same thing with the rest of your life, guys. Make sure you have a formula that's proven to work, not only for, the coach who's teaching you, but from other people that have gone through that training. So that means they can disseminate that information to others. Critically important.
Oh, and I'll add one final thing to that. If you walk through the door and your wife wants to tell you all about how her day has been, embrace that.
Absolutely.
Be grateful for that, because if she's not, then I would highly encourage you to be fast tracking the action that you take.
She's telling somebody else.
Yes.
All right, guys, that's it for us. As always, if you want to know more information about how other men like you have made this jump and followed the formula, simply go over to thealphareset.com, where you can watch a couple trainings from no other than Tim, the founder, the powerful man himself, and also get a chance to jump on a call with one of us or one of our other coaches for a short introduction. No obligation, as always. That's it for us, guys. Remember, always take action at the moment of insight, and we'll see you the next time on the Powerful Man Show.